Writers' conferences are a long-term investment. Hello and welcome back to my writing journey. I'm Byerrum, author of The Crime of Fashion Mysteries and a brand new book, Crook Tales for Two. Today I want to talk about writers' conferences, and they are beginning to gear up for the year. Left Coast Crime is over now, and I believe that we still have Thriller Fest, Malice Domestic, and BoucherCon on the horizon, as well as any conferences that may be in your state and specific to your area. And when I say they're a long-term investment, they really are. They are expensive, especially if you have to travel, fly to another town, but because it's an investment, you may meet people today that you will know for years from now. You may meet friends, readers, and very especially booksellers who will be happy to sell your books if you're nice and polite and just deal with them like a human being. So it is great fun. It is especially fun to go to a writer's conference when you're a brand new writer and you haven't really been to a lot of them before. I remember my very first BoucherCon in Philadelphia. It was just delightful. I met so many wonderful people, and we really had about the best advice I've ever heard for getting an agent. That advice was, don't just take the first agent who offers to represent you. And people in the group said, well, of course we will. And they said, don't do that. And it was very good advice. And you'll find all kinds of interesting advice if you go to these conferences and attend the panels. Now, it's not all sweetness and joy. I mean, that's great. You can be on a great panel and you can meet people who've read your books for years and tell you about it. So it's pretty much a love fest. However, things are not always great. Things can go wrong. You might be left out of the program book. And this is critical because lots of people love the program books. They read the program books cover to cover because they want to read all the authors who are there and they want to see their pictures and know the books that they're writing. If you're not in that program book, that's pretty bad. The next bad thing that could happen is they can substitute your picture for someone else. I saw one where it had two pictures the same, being identified as two different authors. There are other ones where they might cut the top of your head off. That happened to me. I looked like I'd been decapitated by aliens. It was horrible. It was devastating to me at the time. I can sometimes laugh about it now. There are other things. You can be put on a panel that you have no business being on, where it makes no sense. You can also be there with a mic hog. This is a microphone hog. This is someone who grabs that microphone, and even though you're supposed to portion out the time and be polite with each other, every once in a while you meet that mic hog and they just do not let go. So that is something to be aware of. Also, your moderator might be a pretty bad moderator. I think I've had a panel where one was drunk once and asked crazy questions, so we were all really on our toes, but that can happen as well. But the worst example of a bad panel that I witnessed, thank God I was not on it, but was at a BoucherCon some years ago, and there was this writer who just thought he was all that. And he had a new hardback come out and he was moderator. I don't know where he got the idea, but he decided that he was going to run this panel like a game show host. He picked up the microphone and he rolled around the room and he talked to people in the audience, and he just ignored most of the panel, except for one man there who was very well known, a very established writer, and you could tell that he thought that that was the only writer who was his equal, and that was the only one he chose to talk to most of the time. Now, there was a woman on the panel who he mostly ignored. I think he may have given her one question and then swept on by. He was so rude to her. I could feel the anger from the women in the audience. And he just went on. He ignored her. He was not dragged out by the women in the audience after the panel. However, later that day, I passed a great big bin, and it was full of his hardback books. People had thrown them in the trash. These women who were so angry at that panel threw his books in the trash. These are books that his publisher paid for and shipped and gave to the conference to put in the goodie bags, in the swag bags for people. So it made an indelible impression on me, I would recommend that you never do that. Never ignore all the panelists, even if they seem not to be really tied in with the panel itself. So I think that I will leave you with that. Just be aware of how people act, how you might act on a panel yourself. And I have lots more to talk about writing conferences. My next panel will be about swag. So check in next week and I'm going to talk about the things you bring. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.